Go ahead, Knight.
Well, yeah, in the interest of moving on, Brenda, what's up? What level of heretic are you today? Just kidding. Hi, hello. How are you? We've been talking about heresy for the last hour and a half.
Well, I have a different subject, so I was just waiting till
Yeah,
you
go ahead.
were done. Why are online Christians, and particularly Protestants, such bigots? I run into bigotry from Christians on a daily basis on this platform. They're homophobic, transphobic, sexist, even racist at times, and
So,
anti-Semitic. And so,
yes.
why is it that Christians seem to have such low moral character?
So I'm sure everyone's like ready to jump all over that, but I would first say, instead of Christians, you just say people, right? So Christian,
No,
religious,
it's
non-religious.
particular to
Hang on.
Christians.
I
Well,
understand. I
so that-
understand. Hold on. I'm walking this down this path. So just to set us off on the right foot, I understand you're specifically wanting to know about Christians. Hang on, Calvin is getting feedback. You specifically wanted about Christians, but I'm just pointing out the bigger issue that I will address this, but it's also people at large, right? Christians are not the only ones that fall into the categories of bigot you mentioned.
Do you think that liberal denominations and liberal Christians are Christians?
We can talk about that, but that's also not
So you
Calvinist.
don't. I take that pause as a no.
I don't think I paused. I said we can talk about that, but no, that's not what I said at all. Yeah, progressing.
I was just.
If he wants to engage Calvinist, or if he thinks that Calvinists are being,
It's she, so don't misgender me, please.
my apologies. I must speak truth, and I shouldn't even apologize.
See, this is what I mean. This is bigotry right here.
So
me?
Here's why I say that, because that actually is a shining example that just popped up out of the blue right now.
Well, I'm not screaming and yelling. I'm just saying.
Brenda,
it is considered hateful for me to speak truth, and I cannot change that. I will not change what is true and what is false in order to please men, because that's called idolatry. And this is the problem, I think, when people are talking to quote unquote Calvinists. Calvinists are generally thought of in Christendom, if you want to use that term, to be very staunchly biblical. And am I saying that everyone has to be Calvinist? Absolutely not. I've made that clear millions of times. One of my greatest friends on here, Malik, right now is quite far away from where I stand theologically, and he's my brother in Christ wholeheartedly. Just to give you a microcosmic example right now. But that's a perfect example, right? So if, Brenda, what you mean by bigotry, air quotes, if that definition is anything that you don't affirm me in is wrong, is that what you mean by bigotry?
Well, I mean, you misgendering me is a transphobia, right? And it is not true.
That has nothing to do with being afraid of you. That has to do with speaking truth.
That's not what the word transphobia means.
That has nothing to do with some type of an
homophobia. Homophobia doesn't mean you're afraid of homosexuals. That's not what it means. It's just how the word is, but the word means something else.
Okay, well, I'm telling you in all honesty and in love of truth, I will not participate and give credence to something that is untrue. That would be blasphemy.
Well, that's wrong. It is true.
According to who?
According to how words work, right? My gender is feminine, and so the appropriate pronoun are feminine pronouns.
Brenda,
that's my gender. It's not. I don't say that. I don't say that my sex is female. I'm not confused about my genitals.
Brenda,
I'm not confused about my gender. They're different things, Brenda, and you misgendering me is a lie.
Brenda, for sake of brevity, I'm telling you, your lecture against misgendering you is going to fall on deaf ears because I'm never going to heed it.
I know, because you're a bigot.
No, you're a confused person, Brenda.
So you can call me a bigot all day long. I don't care if you call me. What I care about And see, this is what's going to offend you, but offense according to the gospel is necessary. It's a necessary consequence of a world dead in trespasses and sin. So if I offend,
what was confusing about how I laid out the difference between sex and gender?
Brenda, again, I'm not sure why you're trying to engage me. I just told you that you're not going to change my mind on that.
Well, no, I understand, but I want to discuss why you deliberately choose to confuse sex with gender.
I am not here to discuss newspeak. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to contest faith. I'm here to
This
talk.
is just science, dude. It's just science. There's a difference
So,
between sex and gender. Don't you realize that?
I'm gonna have a conversation with someone about all of this newspeak, all of this new scientific jargon that's been reintroduced and manipulated to fit whatever you want it to fit. That's fine. You can do that, but I'm not the person you want to do that with.
So this is what I'm talking about, this scientific illiteracy and ignorance of just basic scientific facts about human beings and human psychology. This is just human psychology 101, and you're ignorant
You're
and
committing
bigoted.
idolatry with yourself, Brenda. And here's the reason I tell you that, because of the fact that you're a human being that's created in God's image, okay? You have inherent value. You have inherent worth because you reflect the glory of your Creator, who is the one true God of the universe. But as it stands right now, you're suppressing that truth of God in your unrighteousness because you love your sin, because you've wrapped your entire identity up into yourself. You have left God out of the equation. You suppress the truth of God.
Why is it sin for me to be the who God made me?
God didn't make you that way.
Yeah,
No,
he
he
did.
didn't.
Yeah, no, the
Brenda
science. You're behind on the science.
So if I
Yes.
could maybe jump in here, hot button topic. So just maybe a couple perspectives. To one side, by the way, what Progressing said, I'll say that all day long. I may say it differently, but I totally agree with it. To what Brenda's saying, Brenda, to your point, maybe I've always often wondered, right? Because the Bible does speak about some sins just point blank directly. Then there's other things that fall in gray or very gray territory that you have to rely. The royal you, the person that actually cares and believes in God, has to rely on their conscience being led by the Holy Spirit with. So I've always often wondered about transgender issues, so by the way, the person that doesn't believe in God and doesn't care about sin or doesn't think it's real, you do you, go crazy. But to the person that say would be a Christian or a Christ follower and also put themselves in the transgender category, I've also wondered, right? Because it's an easy answer for a Christian to say, well, God didn't make you that way. You should change or not change that part of your body. And then I can see the trans person saying, well, what part shouldn't I change, my body or my brain, right? Because one of them would have to be changed or whatever to match the other, to match who they really express themselves as, right? So I've often thought, just to consider that perspective. It has nothing to do with theology, but just from maybe approaching it a different way. Because if you're born a certain way but you feel a different way, well, that's your brain. So are you saying I'm supposed to change my brain because if I leave it the same? That's a problem. Well, if I change my body, well, that's a problem. So one of them has to change. So if you don't change your body, you are changing your brain. So either way, something's getting changed.
I changed my body. I changed my body.
Or you do nothing and go through life thinking you're not who you are. So for the Christian, though, for the outside observer, I would say that biblically speaking, I mean, we know homosexuality is a sin, right? So that has nothing to do with trans issues. If it does, if you're a trans woman who now likes women, or if you're a trans man who now likes men or likes women, whatever, wherever you fall, if homosexuality is an issue, then the Bible outright speaks to that. But assuming you're celibate and having sex with no one and it's not an issue, then as far as trans and are you this way? Are you supposed to be this way? Change your body, change your brain. Well, that has to fall, I believe, firmly between you and God. So if you believe in a God, be very careful and work out your salvation with fear and trembling. But if you don't believe in a God, then all of this is moot. Go crazy.
Can I
So
ask Brenda?
The science says that my brain is feminine and is so from birth. That's what the science says.
Can I ask Brenda a question? Brenda.
Sure, Felix.
Brenda, were you born with? Okay, just hear me out. I just want to understand what you.
I was born male. I was born male, raised male.
You were born with born male, but you feel like a woman. Is that what it is?
I always identified as a woman. Yes.
And so that makes you a woman because you identify as a woman.
Yes, and it's backed up with the science that says
Okay,
that
so
my brain is actually was feminized, very likely in the womb, and this is just something that happens,
okay,
right?
so
It's a biological fact.
mhm.
Okay, so
So
I'm going
it's
to stop it
it's
right there.
hold on,
Hold on,
just
everybody. Okay, Brenda, we're going to come back to you. There's new people on the stage. I want to get to
that's not
them, and we'll
fair.
come back to you. And just for the record, for those who don't know, science can't speak. Science doesn't say a darn thing. Okay, it's the
I just
scientists who interpret what they call
Yeah,
to
but
be
you're not
science.
understanding how words.
Okay, so Brenda, we'll come back to you, and if you can't be quiet, I'll move you to the audience. Kyle, welcome, brother.
wow.
Good to see you. And do you have a question, a topic, a thought? It can be on the current topic, anything at all. Welcome.
Hello, hello. I feel like every time I come in here, it's a little spicy.